This is the JWN podcast. Welcome to episode 29. Remember turning 29? I mean, some of you probably aren't even close to 29. Some of you are far away from it. But 29 was like a scary age. That was like, oh man. You felt like you were no longer able to be a quote-unquote young person in their 20s, a foolish 20-something. You're heading into 30s, like you had to get your shit together, or else it was kind of pathetic if you didn't have a path and a direction by the time you were 30. Yeah, you shouldn't feel that way. If you're coming up on 29, or if you're 29, don't worry about it. Some of us go through our whole life wondering if we've got our shit together. That's just normal. I think it's kind of healthy. I think if you get a little too confident in yourself, that's when things are dangerous. I could be wrong. But, you know, nothing interesting happened this week. Can you believe it? Nothing to see here, folks.
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
Nope. No, I don't see anything. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Nothing to see here.
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
Nothing at all. Everything's great. America's gonna be fine, right? Oh yeah, this pandemic is over. It's washed over us. It's gonna disappear by election day. Oh yeah. Oh, don't worry, the elections will be safe. We'll have, Nazis there to protect us. The hell is going on? How is this real? How is 2020 successful in one-upping itself like every week? It just gets more and more nuts. I mean, at a certain point, I'm expecting the unexpected now. So that, like, maybe it'll turn around. Maybe something so amazing will happen, and that will be so out of place and so crazy that nobody will believe it, you know? Maybe it'll be like a cure for cancer, and like that will be the thing that makes us forget all about how shitty this year really has been. I don't know. I've decided to do this show today a little different. I've decided to have a little bit of structure. We're going to try something new because it's my show and I can do what the hell I want. So let's just do like some little news segments. How about that? Let's do that. Let's play a little music. All right. Our first story is about the month that we're in now. It's October, but it's also known as Inktober. Illustrator and comic book creator John Parker created Inktober in 2009 as a challenge to improve his inking skills and develop positive drawing habits. It has since grown into a worldwide endeavor, with thousands of artists taking on the challenge every year. There's also other similar types of artistic October-related events. I saw Artists and Craftsmen, the art supply store. They're doing Man, I can't say the name of the store, and I can't say the name of the event. Drawloween. I don't know. I think they're saying Drawloween. Drawloween, yes, Drawloween, which is pretty much the theme of every single men's bathroom stall across America. Drawloween. Anyway, back on episode 2 of this very crazy podcast, Marcus Cripps was our guest. He's an artist, and we discussed Inktober back then and how he used it as an inspiration to create his first comic book, which was called Catbite. You can go buy it now. I mean, I think he still has some copies available. Go hit him up at Marcus Cripps on Instagram. Well, today Marcus has revealed that he's using this year's October drawing challenge to create a new book. and he's calling it Kill Shot, and it's going to be based on his newfound love for axe throwing, and he's going to chronicle how he won his first axe throwing championship. You gotta love how people just they just use their creativity to make their different worlds collide and make something fun and unique. Who would do that? Who would sit there and go, you know what? I'm gonna make a drawing every day and then come out with a comic book about axe throwing. And I love that exists. Marcus is just awesome. He's just good people. Moving along. Angel Bond, another podcast guest. Back on episode 26, which is only, I guess, 3 episodes back. She disclosed that she had a bunch of health issues that she was dealing with. But the most pertinent one was this Hürthle cell tumor that was growing on her thyroid. Well, last week, she did go to Florida to get treatment on this thyroid, this tumor. And unfortunately, they did have to remove her whole thyroid. But they sent the tissue out for testing, and the testing came back. She's reporting today that she is cancer-free, not cancerous. That is a breath of fresh air. I mean, holy cow. I was really, really worried about that because it's 2020, and you just got to be prepared for the worst. So there's one bright spot there that she's recovering right now. She's doing well. It's going to be a long road to recovery, but I guess if you're going to have to take time off from performing, this is the kind of time, this is the best time to do it when you can't go out and perform. I know that's a weird way to find a silver lining, but yeah, I'm so happy that it's not cancer. Another musical guest that we had on recently was Babe Club. They just released their new single and a new video for the song Automatic Love. When they were on the podcast, they talked about how they not only re-recorded that song because it was previously released under Jenna Desmond's name, but they also used the downtime of this pandemic to remake this video like 3 times. They would make a video and not like it, scrap it. And, I mean, I guess they had the time to do it, but the video is awesome. I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes so you can check it out. It's kind of a really creepy look into our dependence on phones and social media and whatnot. Check it out. It's really, I mean, it's a good song, but the video is really it's really well done. And it's all, they did it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just creative group of people. All right, and that brings us to our top story. Banksy and the Rise of Outlaw Art. It's a documentary on Amazon Prime. It's pretty comprehensive. It's long. I think some of the complaints about it are that it's kind of too long, maybe boring to some people. It actually took me about 3 nights to get through the whole thing. But that's because I fall asleep if I'm sitting in bed or laying in bed watching TV. I will just instantly fall asleep. But I did make it through it. I enjoyed it. It's more than just about Banksy. It's a lot about the origins of street art and the effects of street art on culture. But Banksy is now in a weird legal battle for the ownership of the copyright of his artwork, as the European Union Intellectual Property Office has decided that he has no rights over the image of the flower bomb thrower, which is one of his most popular pieces, which he was demanding a greeting company stops using. Banksy's anonymity was provided as a reason for the decision, but his practice of graffiti was also given as an example of his disregard for property rights in general. The Intellectual Property Office underlined its point by quoting Banksy's own book, in which he stated copyright is for losers, and asserted that his efforts to protect his trademark have been inconsistent with honest practices. Ouch. In 2014, he was awarded the trademark for that image in order to stop people from using it, and he didn't want the trademark for his own profit. He just wanted to stop them, so The problem is he can't actually copyright the image unless he discloses his identity. So he can create a company and make it a trademark, but he can't copyright the image. Get it? I guess. It's so weird that you can create something, and unless you have like the legal means to prove that it's yours, someone could just steal it. And you should know that if you're buying a Banksy thing and it didn't come from him, that it's been stolen. And the European Union kind of has a point here. I mean, what do you think he should do? On one hand, he's rallied against the protections that would stop companies from profiting off of his popularity, as they have pointed out. But on the other hand, he could just let it go. He could just let people use his image for commercial purposes to the point where it's devalued and it becomes worthless and nobody wants it anyway because it's just, I don't know, it's like a smiley face. Like somebody invented the smiley face at one point and now it's like an emoji icon, an emoticon. So I don't know. And that might be the way to go because he wasn't planning on making money off of it anyway. I don't know. I don't know where his head's at with that. I would imagine his identity, though, is way more valuable in the long run. And it's just going to be interesting to see what he does to fight this. I know he started a company in 2018. He started a greeting card company for this specific case so that he could fight them and maintain his trademark. But the European Union also looked at that and said, no, dude, we see what you're doing. We see right through it. Your intentions are just to screw with this company. But it's weird that the European Union is also they're taking the side of a company that obviously has stolen something they didn't create to make an example out of Banksy and what his political movement was. It's so fucking weird, man. It's so weird. This greeting card company is obviously stolen the work. So I don't know. It's a hard thing to really come to grips with. What would you do in this situation? Would you buy from this greeting card company knowing that they stole this artwork and that like there's a plot against Banksy to reveal his identity if he wants to protect his ownership of his own art? It's really messed up, man. That's really messed up. Is Twitter's algorithm racist? According to an article on Creative Block, Twitter has launched an investigation into its neural network, which appears to be racially biased. When pulling up an image in its photo preview function, the algorithm consistently favors the faces of white people, almost always displaying a lighter skinned face and cropping out black people as the featured photo. Well, it kind of reminds me of the olden days of film photography. Kodak Eastman had a model on staff. Her name was Shirley, and they used her face as a meter for the printed color stock. So basically, this girl's pale face was the standard that they used to formulate all of their film to optimize what a proper exposure should look like. Now, it's not outwardly racist. It's not like they were trying to say, or trying to keep people with darker skin tones down. It was just stupidity. It's an example of why you need to think inclusively when you're designing something. You're creating something that, the whole population is going to use. You kind of have to think like, all right, well, how is a person with darker skin going to be affected by this? How is a disabled person going to be affected by this? These are the things that go into making good design. It's not just about making something pretty. It's also, are you alienating other people that are different from the people that are maybe in the room with you? On Monday, we're going to have a really cool guest. I sat down, I've recorded the episode already, so I can actually talk about it without being nervous that something might happen, and then I don't record it, and then I talk about it, and yeah, you get the idea. So, Gil Shuler is going to be my guest on Monday, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the man. I read about him and his work, and I'm familiar with his work, as I learned through researching about him. He's a graphic designer, and he's been doing this since the 80s. And just a fascinating interview. It's funny because when I contacted him, he said, I mean, I'd love to come on the show. I don't know how interesting I'll be. And I can't stress enough. I mean, I found him extremely interesting. We talked a lot about not just him growing up in rural South Carolina and how he discovered design and art, but we talked a lot about music and the music scene and a homegrown music scene. And he's just a really passionate guy about what he does. And his new book is it's just, I might go a little overboard during the podcast every time I bring it up because I'm just so impressed by how good it is. It's just, I mean, it's pictures, but it's 180 pictures is his book. And each page is a poster that he has done for the Awandagh Green, which is it's a music venue out, just north of Charleston. They do a lot of up and coming. They kind of focus more on folky, kind of bluegrass-ish, kind of singer-songwriter type of music, but it expands from there. But it's its own little world, and it's a beautiful thing. Been going strong for a long time now. And he's done the posters for every week when they have their event. He does the posters for them. So he made a collection of his favorite posters and put it together on this book. If you're a music fan, you should pick up this book. I'll put a link to it in this episode as well as that episode when it publishes. But yeah, you should definitely check that out. And I please share that episode with your friends, if anyone you know that is into design, because he's a fascinating man. So I also wanted to talk to you about this podcast. And I really would like some feedback from some of y'all who are listening. I see the numbers have been going up and up and up, and it makes me so happy. So I'd like to know, besides, reflective of the numbers, I'd like to hear firsthand from some of you guys and girls about what you think of the show and what you like, what's working for you, what's not working for you. Do you like the idea that I do an interview show and then I do a separate show where it's just me talking to y'all? I don't know many podcasts. Maybe there is other podcasts that do something similar. A lot of times they do both in one show, kind of like Mark Maron will do the first 15, 20 minutes of his shows of him doing a monologue type of thing and then have an interview. I didn't want to copy him. I also kind of thought it would be important for my interviews to let them stand alone by themselves. So if I had something I wanted to say that maybe didn't fall in line with the person I was interviewing with, that they didn't have to say I don't want to share this podcast with my friends. This guy's a meathead or a psychopath or whatever kind of judgment you might have or they might have about whatever I was rambling about that day. So yeah, to me, it's kind of important to separate the two. But let me know what you think. I mean, I enjoy doing this. I think it's fun. And I've been trying to, every week I've been trying to do something a little different, keep it fresh, and feeling out what works. I haven't settled on anything yet. So I am open to suggestions. I'm okay if you have any negative comments about it. Somebody texted me today telling me that I had mentioned in episode 23 that I thought that there's nobody more popular than Michael Jordan. And someone told me today that no, LeBron James is probably more popular than Michael Jordan was. I don't know if that's true, but I have to believe him because I don't follow basketball and he does. So I'll have to believe him. But from a non-basketball fan, I don't know. Only time will tell. And maybe I'm getting old. But that's the kind of feedback I like to hear, is to know that you might not agree with what I'm saying or the silliness that I'm spewing. I want to hear about it because it's how I learn. Every time I do one of these interviews, any preconceived idea that I have about something revolving the guest, I always learn something more, something better than what I thought. I'm always learning. I feel like I've learned more from talking to people and listening to these people over the past couple months of doing this podcast, that it's making me more and more excited to keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? But for this portion of the podcast, these solo shows, I don't have anyone to learn from. So please, let's get this going. Let's get a conversation going. Go over to jwnpod.com. Send me a message. There's a little form for an email. You could send me a message there if you don't want to do the social media thing. I know social media is tough because if I don't follow you and you send me a message on Instagram, it goes into that weird void of an inbox of people you don't know that you might not ever check. It took me years to even know that it was there. One day I stumbled upon this thing and I'm like, what are all these messages? And the majority of them were garbage, but there were a couple of things where people were inquiring about services that I offer photographically, and I missed the work because it was 2 years later. So I get that that's tough, but I do check it now. I do keep an eye on there to see if anyone has anything, and every once in a while something does come in. So keep it coming. I'm very excited. Also, I know not everybody uses Apple Podcasts. I get it. I see the numbers. They're the largest one, but not by much. Spotify's coming up and all of the other platforms that are out there in various podcast applications. They make up a big chunk as well. Apple's still number one, but Apple's the only one that does reviews and ratings. And a lot of the other services pull that information from Apple. So if you go to another podcast service that shows this is a 5-star show, well, they got that rating from Apple. So if you have a moment, you're listening to this now, and you like the show or you like the interview shows, go over to Apple Podcasts. Just open up the app and go down, go to the show and hit the rating thing on it. Just leave me a rating, and if you can, and if you want to write a review, that would be fantastic. Let's help grow this thing, because I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I hope you're enjoying listening to it. And with that, I think that's all I have for this week. I'm going to keep it kind of short and sweet. I do look forward to talking to you next week, and I hope you have a great weekend. I mean, it's going to get better. Can it? Maybe? Okay. We're going to make it through this. I'm telling you, we're going to make it through this. Might not be living in the same country anymore. Might change ownership. Who knows? We might be in the middle of some sort of weird civil war by the time I come out with another episode. I hope you have a great weekend. And like I said, hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking. Peace.